First, I want to thank the City of West Palm Beach Police Department, Chief Frank Adderley, and Diana Matty, the fire chief, and West Palm Beach Fire Rescue. Second, I want to urge anyone that has any information regarding this incident to come forward. If you have any videotape, any photographs, any information whatsoever, please contact me directly. Again, my name is Lance Ivy. My number is 561-820-2240. Why are we here right now? Unfortunately, we're here because of the untimely, unimaginable, preventable tragedy of Carol Easterling Wright. Who is Carol? Carol was born in Connecticut in 1942, April 19th, 1942. Her family traveled around the United States, including New York City, where both her parents were reporters for the New York Daily News. They subsequently moved to Washington, D.C., and then in 1957 they moved to Miami, Florida. Carol graduated from Coral Gables High School in 1960. She attended the University of Miami and graduated from the University of Miami in 1964. A little bit of her professional background includes, but is not limited to, she was a columnist for Bon Appetit magazine. She was a reporter and copy editor for the Palm Beach Daily News. She was a reporter for Palm Beach Business Weekly. And ultimately, she retired from the Palm Beach County Property Appraiser's Office. Carol loved others. She treated others with respect, dignity, including herself. She treated herself with dignity and respect. She was an avid reader. I went to her house on Saturday. She had books shelves full of books. Avid reader. We'd call her a learned person. She was an active person as well, and she earned the right to live out her golden years with her family and friends. She earned the right to live life to the fullest, and she earned the right that in time to peacefully, naturally, and in a humane and dignified fashion to pass away. And unfortunately, that was taken away from her and her family. Everything she had worked for to maintain her health, to maintain mental health, physical health, was taken away from her and her family. What we know is back on February 6th, a little over a week ago, it was a beautiful day like today, and Carol, as she commonly did, she lives over a little bit south of Belvedere Road, rode her bicycle to a classic bookshop in Palm Beach. And it's a 6-mile round-trip ride. She's 79 years old. She was 2 months shy of being 80 years old. So she rode her bike from her house over by Belvedere Road to the classic bookshop in Palm Beach. She would cross this bridge, and it was common. They know who she is over there. And she had successfully gone to the bookstore, bought a few books, of which a couple she was going to mail to some friends, and she was returning back from the bookstore when this unfortunately occurred. So Carol, on her way back, she's coming from Palm Beach, coming from east to west. There's a bridge, obviously, it's right behind us, and there's a pedestrian walkway. And she starts on the east side over here, and as instructed, she gets off of her bicycle and walks over the bridge, pushing her bicycle. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what they mandate, and she does it the right way. And she pushes up the steep embankment, and she's walking towards the bridge, and successfully she gets to the top of the bridge, and they have crossing guards on the pedestrian side and on the vehicle side. And at the time she walks up the bridge, there's no alarms, there's no whistles, and the crossing guards are up in the up position. So she legally and lawfully gets on the bridge, and without any expectation, unbeknownst to her, the crossing or the bridge tender pushes the button that would ultimately turn out to be a slow mental and physical death sentence for Carol. She is literally on the bridge in between the crossing guards, and here's a picture of the bridge with the guards here, but she's literally herded into this area. She's trapped. She can't go over here because the bridge is going to start rising soon. She can't go that way because there's water. She has these gates stopping her on either side, but she's right in the middle. She's lawfully on the bridge. When the bridge activates, the columns go down, and to make matters worse, the bridge starts lifting up. And as the bridge lifts up, Carol tries to clasp on to the rails as the bridge is lifting. And as the bridge lifts, there's a gap between the bridge and the road itself. And she's trying painfully to hold on with her 79-year-old hands. Her arms are weak and tired. She's trying to hold on. And all the while, this is within feet of the bridge house, within eye shot of the bridge tender, probably 20 feet away, directly in front of the bridge house. She's holding on painfully for what probably seemed like several minutes to her. We've all had these fears of falling. I know I've commonly had these dreams, nightmares, whatever you want to call them, the fear of falling to your death. This was becoming a reality, unfortunately, for Carol. She was clasping on, and she knew that the only thing preventing her from the concrete and the steel below was her 79-year-old arms and hands. And she maintained that position for several minutes. She gave it a valiant effort. But unfortunately, her 79-year-old arms and hands gave way. And she falls. And she falls down into this little abyss. Meanwhile, she didn't fall just directly into the hole. Her body, certain, made contact with the concrete and steel below. There's a little hole here between the concrete, the roadway and the bridge, that the forces basically forced her body through it, whereupon she fell about 50 to 60 feet below to a concrete barrier down below. Not to their fault, the first responders came as soon as they could, and unfortunately it took some time for them to get down to Carol. And by the time they got down to Carol, she had succumbed to her injuries. So what do we know? What happened? Well, what we know so far is that there's a minimum of 3 cameras on the bridge house with monitors for the bridge tenders to look at. They have mirrors in there to see the traffic, the pedestrian traffic and vehicle traffic that they can look at. And you'll see the bridge house is elevated. It has a walkaway, a balcony, 360 degrees. Based upon my experience of doing this for 25 plus years, for those of you, obviously this is Carol, but based upon doing this for 25 years and my investigation and having witnessed bridges rising and lowering in the Palm Beach County for years, the bridge tenders are not only supposed to monitor the cameras and the monitors, look at the mirrors, they're supposed to physically come out onto the balcony and do a visual to make sure that the pedestrian walkway and the cars are no longer on the bridge. Not just one time. They're not supposed to do it twice. They're supposed to do it a minimum of 3 times. So right there we had 5 opportunities to avoid this tragedy. Carol was there to be seen. She was legally there to be seen. 5 opportunities. We had the cameras, the mirrors, and then 3 visuals. None of those were taken. They didn't do the bare minimum to protect Carol. Meanwhile, that's not the worst of it yet. She's clinging on for dear life, and there's still another safety protocol that the bridge tender could have taken. Their emergency stop button could have been pushed to prevent Carol from falling. It literally within 20 feet of the bridge tender, right directly in front of them, was Carol clinging on, and the bridge tender failed to produce this safety measure to stop the bridge from going up. We have 6 abilities to prevent this tragedy. None of them were taken. What did they do right? They didn't even do the bare minimum to protect Carol. I'm imploring Florida Drawbridges Inc. to come forward with any evidence that you have to show us that you did something right, that you did something good for the family. The family has questions. They want to know, what did you guys do right? What went wrong? Send videotape, send your policies and procedures, phone records for the bridge tenders. let's look into this and find out what you guys did right, if anything. The family deserves answers. And we're here today to let you know that we will diligently pursue this case. My goal and our goal is that it's happened in the past, I can assure you. Our goal is that will never, ever, ever happen to another family. Thank you and God bless.
Are you guys filing a lawsuit?
It's premature, right? So my weapons, I aim and then I shoot. I don't file lawsuits without knowing all the facts, so I'm not going to sit here and say I'm filing a lawsuit, but I will be looking into it. And if there's a viable claim, which all appearances say there are, we will pursue all legal remedies that are available for this family.
Do you have to give a notice of intent to sue?
You do for the Florida Department of Transportation, yes,
So
ma'am.
is this your notice of intent possibly?
No, it has to be a certified document, 6-month wait. It's all under Florida statute, yes, ma'am.
Are you saying it was negligence then that caused the woman's death?
Well, under anybody's definition, the failure to monitor the surveillance cameras, not look at the mirrors, and not come out of the bridge tender house, which is apparent, 3 times to do a visual to see who was there to be seen, including Carol, to me that would fall under anyone's definition of negligence, sir.
Did she die at the scene, or was she taken to a hospital and passed away?
As I said, she succumbed to her injuries. The first responders, because of the location, had to rope themselves down there. It took some time to get down there, but by the time they got down there, several minutes later, she had succumbed to her injuries.
What do we know about this bridge tender, and what do you know could have been going on inside while this was occurring?
Well, the name of the bridge tender hasn't been released yet, and I don't know too much about the bridge tender. All I know is they had to be distracted by a phone or just not paying attention. Again, Carol was there to be seen. There's 5 safety protocols that were not done that would have revealed to the bridge tender not to activate the bridge. When the bridge tender pushed that button to lift that bridge, that was basically giving Carol a slow mental and physical death sentence is all she did right there.
Have you spoken to the witnesses?
I've not spoken to any witnesses. As you know, the police department has not released the report yet. So, but we're reaching out to all witnesses, and again, anyone that has any knowledge whatsoever, videotape photographs, please reach out to me and help the family get some answers.
We're learning more about Carol's story here, but do you know, are there other people that this has happened to, but they've been able to survive or, jump onto firm footing?
Yeah, I'm aware there are other prior incidences, and we will be looking into that as well. And maybe they need to consider some alternative designs or in the future employing some type of infrared sensor. I know in 1936, Alfred Einstein patented a eye sensor that's utilized for garage doors. Even garage doors, if you command them to open or close, refuse to do so if they sense an object or person in harm's way. I'm not saying that should have been the standard, but if you're going to employ bridge tenders who aren't going to pay attention, who aren't going to do the bare minimum, you might want to consider something like eye sensors.
Do we know if the bridge tender came out onto the catwalk to walk around? Do we have any idea or any evidence of that?
Well, the surveillance probably will reveal that when the police release it, but I would suggest that if she came out, she didn't look, because Carol was there to be seen, and Carol's 79 years old. She's not running across the bridge.
Did Carol shout or scream, and then the bridge operator didn't hear that, or what do you think?
That's another issue. Again, this literally, I went to the scene last week, and where Carol was holding on to the railing is right dead center of the bridge house, probably no more than 20, 30 feet away. So yes, my understanding is she was screaming, obviously crying for her health or for help, just holding on for dear life, as the saying goes. And unfortunately, the bridge tender, for whatever reason, after activating the bridge lift, didn't hear her screams and didn't look out the window. Again, she was there to be seen, and you push a button, stops the whole episode, and maybe Carol survives.
Yeah. Ms. Sanchez, would you be able to speak with us briefly and give us your...
The family's they're not going to speak today. They're obviously still distraught, emotional, so I've answered the questions for you guys. If you have any questions in the future, maybe we can set something up, but they're so distraught right now.
So what is your general reaction to what happened in this situation?
I think it's egregious. The bridge tender didn't do the bare minimum. I mean, the one job they have, aside from lifting the bridge for yachts, is to ensure that there are no persons or property on the bridge when you activate. And the most egregious part of this is that these gates come down. They're supposed to prevent people from unlawfully going onto the bridge. It should not be a prevention for a lawful person to get off the bridge. It was basically, they pinned her in there. There's nothing she could do.
Does she have children or grandchildren?
No, sir.
Had she been married at one time?
Never been married, no children.
Do you know if the bridge tender's back at work? The status?
I don't know the status of that. I'd hazard a guess that the bridge tender's probably not back at work, but I don't know that for a fact.
Bridge tender, an employee of the DOT, or who works on the bridge?
Florida Drawbridge Inc. is the third-party vendor that provides the tenders for the bridges.
Yeah, but the bridge is owned by the DOT?
Yes, sir.
So they hire a subcontractor to work in the little booth up there?
Yes.
You think there was more than one person on duty, or just one person there?
My understanding is there was one. There, the facts may ferret out there might be more than one.
Does Florida Drawbridge Inc. have a history of anything like this occurring that you're aware of?
Well, I know for a fact there was prior incidences where they were the tenders on the bridge.